It's our Get a Job segment with Gail Cruikshank, Talent Director, Greater St. Cloud Development Corporation. Gail, good to see you.
Good morning.
All right, so we always have different topics, and today's our topic is on mentorship magic, the double M's.
It is.
What does that mean exactly?
Well, mentorship is one of those passion topics for me, and so I thought, well, why not take a little time to talk about it? And it's amazing how so much of the work that I do, no matter if we're talking about high school students, college students, adults, it really relates back to mentorship and being able to learn more through somebody in a professional position, a field. It doesn't even have to be the one you are specifically in, but having somebody to just ask questions of that's not close in your network necessarily. So it's not your boss, it's not a parent, neighbor. Well, it could be a neighbor, but it's just that ability to have that professional relationship that will help develop you in whatever facet you're wanting to be developed in, to help either you feel better about yourself or help you grow within your work environment. So I don't think people realize sometimes, even when they're providing a mentorship, but I think it's critical that our employers think about everybody should have a mentor of some sort. And even in, as students are starting to figure out what kind of career they want to go into, we talk a lot about our Exploring Potential Interests and Careers, our EPIC initiative in the community. Well, that's what that's all about, is just exploring careers. And then those students could, make connection with somebody in the field and use that person as their mentor. So there's a lot of things out in the community right now where everybody is wanting to do things to help certain individuals succeed. Well, that's what a mentorship is. And so anyway, it's one of those things that I've got on my radar, and I'm trying to figure out how can we make biggest impact in the community while helping, provide that guidance to folks. Even if they're going through a difficult time, having somebody to kind of talk through with it that's not a professional in that field necessarily, or not a family member, not somebody's too close to it. It really does help solidify your feelings and maybe give you some different, things to think about, because they are somebody with a different perspective.
I suppose there's some people that just gravitate toward mentorship because they like teaching, they care about people. Mm-hmm. Not everybody's going to fit into that category.
Exactly.
Do you assign people, if you're an employer, do you look to assign someone to be a mentor for someone else? Can it depend on the situation? And does that also help you retain employees and keep them interested and maybe even increase their productivity?
Well, yes. So you can assign, but I would strongly recommend that obviously before you do that, have that conversation with the person you want to be the mentor to make sure that they're in the right place, the right time, and on board to doing this, because you don't want to force a relationship that
that's probably not going to work.
That isn't going to help. It'll probably hurt. So if I was an employer, I would have conversation with both of those individuals, both the mentor and the mentee that you're thinking about putting together, and make sure that they're on board and have a direction of, kind of what you're thinking. And again, these relationships can be very organic. It doesn't have to be structured, but I would make sure both parties are in agreement, because that's the way it's going to be, I think, the most productive. And when you talk about, does it help with retention? Absolutely. I mean, I was doing a little research, when I was putting this together, and specifically on the retention, it talks about, where is it? Upskilling and reskilling, 54%, attracting prospective employees, 34% increase. So again, knowing that a company has a mentorship, some sort of opportunity like this, is really enticing for job seekers. 30% cultivating stronger employee relations, which again speaks to retention of talent. So very much so, I think, in line with that.
So there's 5 stages of mentoring. Can you describe what those are?
Sure. Let's do that. So again, I think the biggest thing is you start with, you have to find the right relationship like we were talking about. You have to build that rapport. So it's not like, say you're just going to dive in to say, okay, how can I help you? I mean, it's a matter of, you got to get to know this person, each other, both of you. So you got to develop that trust, because it really does revolve around trust and intentionality and focus. And then really just exploring where, they need support, setting directions as well as setting parameters. So, what do you want to do? Let's make a map or a plan of how we're going to do it. You kind of monitor the progression just to, see how they're doing. You might need to course correct, or you might decide that, well, I thought we were going to talk about this, but I think we need to back up and talk about this first. And then as you feel like you're making progress, it's a matter of, closing out that item, and maybe that mentorship ends, but it doesn't have to. I mean, I think one of the greatest things that I love about our EPIC initiative is a student could get connected with a local employer, form a relationship, some sort of mentorship, but even if they go away to school or, God forbid, find a different job in a different city, they can still keep that connection with that individual here in St. Cloud region. And that, again, maybe that person will help bring them back at some point. So again, I think it's also a attraction tool, a recruitment tool for us in our community to build those strong relationships. LinkedIn is a perfect example. I mean, I know you and I have talked before. I've got relationships on LinkedIn that I've had my whole entire work career, but it's always fun to be able to see what they're doing or reach out to them for a tip or help or, advice. I mean, that's the power of those relationships. Again, builds that community, and it builds, attraction and retention of talent.
Right. And that's really what I think a lot of employers are kind of looking for.
Yep.
Not just bringing new people in, but keeping the good people that they have. Right. It's a lot easier for them if they don't have to train people in constantly.
Exactly.
Makes things a lot better to be able to do that once they get ingrained into the community.
Yes.
So, when mentorship is working, is it pretty clear that it is?
I think so. And again, if you're finding that something doesn't feel right, then it's just a matter of having an honest conversation with either the mentor or the mentee and identify it and call it what it is. And maybe you'll determine at some point that mentor's not the mentor you need right now. That's okay too. There's some companies in our community that have amazing mentorship programs. And I think it just makes both the employee and the company just feel really good personally that we're doing something to help develop our people, or giving them the resources they need. I mean, and it can be, think about it as an employer, you don't have to have your mentors all within your company. If you've got a sister company or even, a similar like business, or just one that you do a lot of business with that you have great relations with, why not cross mentor like that? Again, you can't be worried you're going to lose that person to that company. You're just providing that connection to help your employees grow.
Is it still a job seeker market?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
More so than it was before?
I think it's I think it's going to stay that way for quite some time. And just because now employees and job seekers can be more specific to what's important to them. Everybody has now kind of shifted their focus about this is most important, and then I'm going to look for a job that aligns with that. And so that's where those employers that are in tune with their employees, having regular conversations with them, keeping them abreast of what's going on in the organization, making them feel like they're a part of the team, they're going to be that, again, employer of choice that we always talk about. And those are the ones that job seekers are going to gravitate to because they're going to see their friends on social media or on LinkedIn saying, hey, this is the best place to work, or through conversation, through relationships. I mean, it's all about, again, having those conversations and being real about what does your employees want, what does our company want, and how can we work that together to be successful for everybody.
If people do want to get a hold of all the job openings in the area, how can they do that?
Well, if you are looking for a job, you can go to our stcloudshines.com website, which really is that one-stop shop if you're looking to move to the area or if you want to know all the great things going on in St. Cloud. And then within that is our job spot portal, which is really hovering around 6,000 jobs within our 3-county region. And if you do have if you're an employer and want to look at some resources that GSDC has available, it's greaterstcloud.com. There is a whole area of employer resources, and I would love to talk to companies that are either doing this or want to get started. And you can find my contact information on the Greater St. Cloud website as well.
Excellent. Gail, thanks for stopping by today.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. That's Gail Cruikshank, Talent Director, Greater St. Cloud Development Corporation. It's our Get a Job segment here on WJON.